Fin Gómez joins us now to discuss his new reporting on former Vice President Kamala Harris. Fin, so good to see you. So what are you hearing now from sources who are close to Harris about what she's thinking about her political future?
That's right, Nancy. Sources close to the former vice president say that Kamala Harris is considering a political comeback. Essentially, three options, we are told. One, she's thinking about running in her home state of California for governor. That's in 2026. Or make another bid, her third, for the White House in 2028. She's also considering just staying out of politics altogether, and she set a deadline for the end of the summer for a jumping-off point to make that decision, Nancy.
End of the summer, and there are probably some other people watching to see what she decides. She had been laying pretty low, Fin, and then she returned to the political spotlight this week with a speech in San Francisco, her old stomping grounds. Let's listen to a little bit of that.
The courage of Americans who are banding together in the face of the greatest man-made economic crisis in modern presidential history. Americans across the political spectrum who are declaring that the president's reckless tariffs hurt workers and families.
So how do you assess her message in that speech? And did she directly go after Donald Trump throughout?
Absolutely. She blasted the president and her former 2024 foe in that speech in front of a Democratic crowd in San Francisco just a couple days ago. There was one notable, I thought, moment when she said his tariffs, as I predicted, are clearly inviting a recession. Yes, she went after his economic policies. She went after several of his policies, and also what she says are his attacks on the Constitution. However, that note, as I predicted, it was about as close as you get to an "I told you so" moment. She did lose to President Trump by 2.5 million votes in all 7 battleground states, Nancy. However, speaking to those close to her, they do remind us and to remind those who are asking questions about her political future that she did net 75 million votes. And overall, the president did not reach that 50% popular vote threshold. They do believe that she still represents a very strong voice within the Democratic Party. However, it's one that's, if she is thinking about running for 2028, Nancy, it's one that she really has to make a decision sooner than later, because as we know, it does appear that several potential presidential contenders are already angling for that spot. I mean, we're in May 2025, but we've seen a lot of movements, Nancy, to some of these early states and speaking to some of these really key crowds as we really start this process. And we're a bit of ways away, but it feels like it's already started.
Yeah, exactly. Suddenly, Andy Beshear, governor of Kentucky, came out this week saying he might be interested. Gina Raimondo, the former Commerce Secretary, said she's thinking about it as well. So what are the big challenges that Kamala Harris would face if she runs for governor or if she mounts another White House bid?
Well, she really has to make a decision for either or one of the two, excuse me. She can't make a decision for both. Or, again, she could also vie to not run again. But if she does run for California governor, she has, in those early polls that we have seen already, she's at the top of that heap of potential gubernatorial candidates. She has a very big name ID. It is her home state. She was formerly the Attorney General and, of course, Senator of California. So she has a very strong base there. However, it's a little bit political risky. One top Democrat told me that if she does run and lose, it's pretty much the end of her political career. However, for 2028, if she really does jump back in the fold, again, we got a little bit of ways here, but if she does jump back in for her third bid, it's already getting crowded. It is already at a point where, as we said, not only Beshear and the others you mentioned, but there's also, Wes Moore, going to South Carolina. He's also speaking in Pennsylvania this Sunday. And, they're already going to these key battleground states, right? You're seeing that movement. J.B. Pritzker has been very vocal. AOC and Senator Sanders have been doing these rallies that have amassed tens of thousands of attendees. So it might be much more of a crowded field than we've seen in previous iterations, Nancy.
Right, and those people are coming from jobs that they are holding right now in the political sphere. whereas Kamala Harris still figuring out her next move. Fin Gómez, really interesting reporting. Thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Thank you, Nancy.
Democratic Congresswoman Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick is in Tamarack, Florida. She represents Florida's 20th congressional district. She's also the co-chair of the House Haiti caucus. Congresswoman, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're seeing Kamala Harris reemerge on the national stage. Do you believe she should run in 2028, or does the Democratic Party need a new face?
I think that's going to be up to her and for her to figure out where she wants to be right now. I don't know if she's actually interested in running, but we always love supporting her. And I think right now, as we're going through all these changes, you're going to see a lot of new leaders coming up, but you're also going to see some of our old leaders really sharpening their skills. So I'm excited to see what's to come for 2026. But what I do know, if the Republicans continue in this trajectory, they're making it easier and easier for us to actually break through and win a lot of the seats that we actually lost before.
Yeah, we've seen another number of individuals just this week say they might be interested in running in 2028. Today, you and Congresswoman Frederica Wilson actually visited an ICE facility in Florida where a female Haitian detainee died last week. Can you talk to us about what you saw and learned there?
Well, I was very disappointed about the hostility, how we were received. When we started asking questions about their medical procedures and what are their policies, we had a lot of pushback and even hostility from the medical coordinator. And these were simple, regular questions. When you have someone who comes in with chest pain complaining, what do you do? What is your standard protocol? And she immediately got very defensive. When we actually tried to see more of the facility where she was, they kept on trying to redirect us to the chapel and to other areas. And we had to make it very clear that we're not here to take a tour of the facility. We're here to investigate, to do our constitutional obligation, to make sure anybody who's staying here is safe. So when we finally had an opportunity to speak to the women who were around Marie before she passed, they told us that she was seen by the doctor at 8 o'clock in the morning, and she died by 8:35. They also told us that, she never had chest pain before until she was given medicine by them. But the most interesting thing that they said is that she constantly complained about pain and that there was only one doctor. And so when we spoke to the facility, they did in fact say that they have one doctor for anywhere between 500 and 700 people who are in that facility. We continue to ask them, well, how much more healthcare staff do you have? They would not answer that question. They said that their one doctor who is there is on call. And they were very evasive and not transparent when it came to that procedure and that situation. So we really believe that there needs to be an external investigation so we can find out really what was going on and why she actually died almost 34 minutes after she saw a doctor.
Have you gotten any indication that there will be an external investigation?
We haven't just yet, but we have the entire Florida Democratic delegation who has signed on to our letter demanding it. And, it's actually very important for a lot of people to understand what's at stake. These aren't just regular people, immigrants who came off of the boats trying to get here. We spoke to several people who have been in the United States for more than 25 years and who had a traffic infraction, who ended up there, who should be released, who are waiting for them to actually go to court. So there's a lot of people who shouldn't be there and who are there. And basic things need to be given to them, like medical attention. Something else that was very disturbing that was brought to our attention, they said that in March there was an influx of people who came and they didn't even have beds for them. They said that they had some people even sleeping on the floor in the rooms, but also sleeping on the floors by where the actual security guards were. And so we tried to ask questions about that, but no one gave us any answers. So these conditions where you have people sleeping on the floor because of an influx in March and not being transparent, coupled with one doctor and the procedures not being clear, these raise a substantial concern for us. And clearly that all these combined issues, it is not a humane situation or even a humane space to be sending people to.
More broadly, when it comes to Haitian immigrants, you authored a letter that you sent to Secretary of State Marco Rubio this week expressing your concerns over the State Department's decision to designate gangs in Haiti as foreign terrorist organizations. Why is that a big concern for you, and have you received a response?
Well, I believe that the gangs are terrible people and they're supported by cartels and they should not be in Haiti. We have to take swift and immediate action on them. However, we have to actually prioritize what we're doing and decide how we're doing it. This designation can harm Haitian people when it comes to humanitarian aid. Now, getting more humanitarian aid into Haiti is going to be extremely difficult. In places like Port-au-Prince, when you have the gangs who have taken over 90% of the area, many times we've heard people say when they have to come in and even give aid or give food, they have to talk to those gangs. Now, those people would actually be in harm and be worried about even facing criminal charges because they had to negotiate to get to the innocent people. And so I think instead of us putting on a hard sanction or this big blanket, we need to be strategic and targeted and not do things so swiftly and suffer the collateral damage that will come from it. And so those are my big concerns. I believe in sanctions, but there's a way for us to do it so we're specific and we're pinpointing and we could finally do away with the gangs.
Right, so you can hurt the gangs, but not necessarily the innocent citizens. Congresswoman Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.